Hi, and welcome to the second part of Lesson 1 under Module 5 for the topic Communication for Work and Academic Purposes for the course subject, um, Purposive Communication. So, this is already the second part of the Lesson 1. I hope that you already watched the video for the lesson 1 part 1 or part A of the discussion. So we still have the same objective for this module, that is to create clear, coherent, and effective communication materials to present ideas persuasively using appropriate language registers, tone and facial expression and gestures, and to adopt awareness of audience and context in presenting ideas. So, as a review, we already talked about effective communication in the workplace, uh, employees' top 5 skills and qualities, top 10 communication skills for workplace success, flow of the organization or intra-organizational communication, barriers of communication, feedback, and the full form of it, and then the full levels of feedback. Now, we are going to talk about the written communication for the workplace. We still have the same quote from the last time, which is communication is a skill that you can learn. It's like riding a bicycle or typing. If you're willing to work at it, you can rapidly improve the quality of every part of your life. That's by, again, Brian Tracy. Now, um, aside from the spoken communication that we need to improve, we also need to improve our written communication skills or writing communication skills. Why? Because when you went out there in the field and actually start working, um, you will not just work by talking. Okay, you are going to, in some way or another, write a communication, write a letter, write a memo, or even produce some written materials related to your work. And we are going to discuss a few of the common written communication materials at the workplace or for the workplace. These are the written communication materials that we usually use in the office or in work and business, and even in the field of medicine you use that too. You also use written communication materials, and in the academy, yeah. So we don't just teach. We also do some materials. Okay, to start with, we actually want to categorize the documents according to two things. This is things that I included here in this video are not actually included in your module, but we are still going to discuss them because I think it's proper for you to know this kind or this categories of documents. So we have movement of communication. So either this is categorized into two. These documents are categorized into two. We have incoming communications and outgoing communications, which are actually very easy to differentiate. When we say incoming communication, these are communications coming to your office. So, to your office. Definition that we have here is communication coming in the office from another office or department. So, any communication given to you to your office is considered as incoming communications. But if you're going to give a communication from your office or from your department, that's considered as an outgoing communications or communication. These are communication going out of the office and going to another office or department. So this two category of documents falls under the movement of the communication, how it goes from the office and to your office. And then we have the second category. We have creator, distributor, or ownership. So when we say internal documents, these are documents owned by the organization and generally just used by the organization. So, for example, internal documents under DIMSU format are only used in DIMSU and cannot be used in other organization because in DIMSU we have our own forms. Okay, but if, for example, these forms are used by other organizations, we call them now external documents. So these documents are owned by other organization but are or can be used by an other organization, normally to communicate to the owner of that organization or to address a need by the owner of that document. An example for that is like in DIMSU. I'm gonna use DIMSU as an example, okay? We use forms not only created by DIMSU if we want to communicate to other agencies. Wait, need to pause this. The environment is actually not good right now. Okay. So, like for example, we have what we call DIMSU forms or ISO forms, which are only used in DIMSU. So we consider them internal documents. But we also use some forms from DepEd, from CHED, from DOST, and we consider DIMSU considers this document as internal documents because DIMSU doesn't actually own them. It's owned by the other agencies or organization. So that's the second category of documents. We now proceed to the actual written communication materials for the workplace. Your module has four here. We have minutes of the meetings, emails, business letters, and we have the memoranda. So for the first written communication, we have minutes of the meeting. So this is a written or recorded documentation of what happened or what transpired during a meeting. So we don't just, in general, we don't just do meetings. We don't just conduct meetings. We need to have a proper documentation of that meeting. And one of the documentation of that meeting is actually the minutes of the meeting. Picture taking or photo opportunity is not enough to be a documentation of a particular meeting. There should be always minutes of the meeting. Minutes of the meeting is different from notes, okay? Why? Because minutes of the meeting is done by an assigned employee, which we call the note taker, while multitasking. Multitasking in the sense that the employee will write the minutes of the meeting while participating in the meeting. So the note taker is not excused in the discussions in the meeting. And we have here seven elements of minutes of the meeting. These elements are mentioned in your module. We have the first one, we have the heading, we have second, the attendees. When we say attendees, this is the name of the participants. But if there are so many participants in a meeting, and we write also the number of the attendees. Like for example, we might mention in the document like attended by 100 participants. So for that, the attendance of the said meeting can be an attachment, and the number of attendees will just be mentioned at this particular part of the minutes of the meeting. But if the meeting is only attended by like 10 to 20 people and writing all the names of the attendees is possible, then you should write the number of attendees. Then we have the third, it's the approval of the previous minutes of the meeting. This part is where you write the previous agenda and the previous happenings of the previous meetings or the previous minutes of the meetings. For example, if there was like an agenda approved or solved during the previous meeting. And then here in the approval of the previous minutes of the meeting, the note taker will actually note the conclusion or what happened with what they talked about in the previous meeting. And then we have the items, which are normally what we call the agenda. So, what are the agenda of the meetings? Agenda of the meetings. What will be talked about in the meeting? Okay. And then we have announcements. For announcements, this are actually like the final part of the meeting per se, where the organizer of the meeting will announce some things regarding maybe some about schedule of some sort, and that will be included in the announcement. Remember that for the action items, the agenda plus the solution of that agenda or the conclusion of that agenda should be written there. An announcement is totally a different part. Announcement is the notice or what will happen next, what are scheduled next. And then we have next meeting details. So maybe this is the schedule of the next meeting, which is sometimes omitted. Why? Because it's not always that there is a follow-up meeting for the meeting happening. Okay. And normally this will be just to be announced thing. And then we have your sign of signature. The sign of signature is done by the note taker. Okay, so whoever wrote the minutes of the meeting will be the one signing the sign of signature. And then we have the next one. We have here at the, is this your right or your left? It's on my left part. This is an example of a minutes of a meeting. So if you can actually like go to your module right now and look at it, this is a sample minutes of the meeting, wherein on the upper part there is a logo. When we say logo, this is not your personal logo, okay? This is the logo of your organization or your workplace. If there is. If there is none, then write the name of the company. And then call to order, the team name or organization, meeting to discuss, attendees name, and then attendees not present. And then, of course, approval of the previous minutes of the meeting, the reports from maybe like the previous accomplishments that the company has done, unfinished business, motions, new business announcements, other business, adjournment. Adjournment is who closed the meeting and who seconded it. So this is an example of minutes of the meeting. But if there is a format, if there is a minutes of the meeting format of your company, of the company that you will be working to, then you need to follow the format of that minutes of the meeting. Okay? These are just some of the few elements that needed to be there. But as I said, there are some forms and documents only applicable to the company that you're working to. Meaning, the minutes of the meeting might not be entirely like this, what the sample that we have here, but instead there might be a different format for your company. But one thing is for sure, there will always be the heading part, the attendees part, the action items or the agenda, the solutions, and announcement, next meeting announcement, and the sign off signature. Next, we have email or electronic mail. I know that you're all familiar with this because you've been receiving a lot of electronic mail actually. For those of you who don't check their emails, do it. It's a good habit to check your email and to actually clear it off, okay? For like if there is not an important mail there, then you can actually like delete it. But yeah, it pays off really to organize your mail. And then electronic mail can be sent to one or more recipient via network. When we say network here, it pertains to, of course, internet. Emails should be concise and direct to the point. You can see that later when we actually talk about the parts of the email, okay? And the things to remember when you write an email. It should be written in proper grammar and proper spelling, okay? Um, please do not overly capitalize, okay? And please do not use jargons or expressions that are only how to say, not general expressions, okay? Because written email are actually like formal. It ranges from formal to semi-formal, but it should be properly written in standard English, okay? It's universally accepted format for attachment. Do not attach attachments that are not universally accepted. We've done it before. If you would remember your module requirement for module 4, where I mentioned to you a few acceptable format for me. Okay, like for example, PDF and PPT. We have MP4. Okay, these are considered as universally accepted format for attachment. In general, if you are going to attach a picture, attach JPEG or PNG. If you're going to attach a video, MP4. Yeah, it might be boring, but it should be MP4. It's the most, I guess, universal format for video. For documents, of course, you have DOC or document. For Excel, we have your EXL, and there are also XLX, yeah, XLSX format, if I remember that correctly. Okay, so these are a few acceptable format for attachment. So again, they should be concise. Just a reminder, okay? Use plain text and common fonts with a simple signature line. When we say plain text and common font, it's always good to use for text format which are not overly designed, like cursive or you know that font styles are actually like very stylish per se. Okay. Common fonts like Times New Roman, Trebuchet, Arial are very accepted. Okay. You might not be aware of it, but you can actually change the font of your format. I mean, of your email. But I suggest you just do it. Not do it. Just do it. Not do it. Yeah. Don't do it unless there is a prescribed text format for your company or in your company. And then write only things that are appropriate. Why? Because your email might end up in another email, or it might be shared unknowingly. We have CC and BCC because we have CC and BCC, and if they use BCC, you can't actually check who received that email anymore. So you need to be careful. Whatever you write in the email, you need to remember that it might end up with another person's email. So you need to be careful in writing whatever you write in the email. Okay, and what else there? I think the other, yeah, I'll just tell you some things. Yeah, so we have here some parts of an email, important parts that you need to remember for your email. I need to apologize? Yeah. Okay, so I use an example, the used example here actually from Shopee. I think if you check your emails that you connected to Shopee, you actually see things like this. So I guess this is like a common example for all of us. So the upper part is the subject. Yeah, please do not forget to write the title or the subject of your email. Some people forget it. Okay, please don't be like some of those people. Always write uh, the subject of your email, because some people are actually busy, and if they don't receive a title for that email that you wrote to them, they might not read it immediately, especially if they're so busy. They might just skip it after all because there's no subject. So subject is very important. Always write the subject of your email, and uh, it should be direct to the point. So if you would see here, it's very specific, it's very direct to the point. It says here that my order has been canceled. Okay, as straightforward as that. And then we have here user ID. Um, User ID is the identification of the sender. Okay, please make use of appropriate user ID. Okay, why is that so? Because it's your identification. You don't want to be called as like, for example, what other during my time when I was still young, a few emails would be like Dark Angel 123. You don't want to be identified by your company as Dark Angel 123. Okay, so you need to use your name. Okay, so it's written in your module that unless explicitly stated in the company guidelines, use a user ID that accurately identifies you, not a pseudonym or one that is vague that makes you seem unprofessional. Like, for example, your DIMSO email is composed of the first letter of your name plus your surname. So in my case, it's CG Advencola at dimsu.edu.ph. Okay, that's appropriate and that's professional. So same to you guys. If your username right now is not proper, then I suggest you change it. And then we have the um, recipient. So you can actually see that the recipient is just to me here, because this is a screenshot from my email. But I think I still have other examples that I can show to you where the recipient is properly stated. And then we have the subject line, which I already mentioned a while ago. This is the title of your email. This should be as specific as it should be. And then what else? Yeah, proper sentence without a period. Okay. And then we have the salutation. It's the greeting of your email. This email is from my what email is this? I guess this is one of my oldest Gmail that I've been using like since I was a teenager. So if you would see here, the username is still very childish and unprofessional. This is an example of an unprofessional username. So the salutation here, or the greeting, is just hi and my username. And then we have, what else? Oh yeah, hi plus username is general greeting. Why? Because they might not be sure of my gender, but uh, if you are writing an email, if it is for a group, then you can overly just skip it. Maybe you can write your dear colleagues or dear students or things like that. But you can actually like skip it if you're going to send it to a group. But if you're going to send it individually, Then, like how you write a normal letter, write the name, the actual name of the recipient. So, um, maybe like Dear Director De La Cruz, or to Mr. De La Cruz, or yeah, things like that. Always make sure that the spelling of the name is rightly spelled, because it's very impolite to misspell names. Um, so you need to always double check that. Also, the honorific, like how you use Miss, Mr., Mrs. If you are not sure of the gender of the person you're talking to, then do not assume. Just use the title of that person. So, Dear President Padilla. Why did I use Padilla? Or use Dear Director, what else do we have? Lee, Choi, whatever. Yeah, and avoid using the first name of the person in the position of authority unless invited to do so, or if the recipient has signed a previous email to you with his or her first name only. What else? Yeah, again, if just a reminder, if you are not sure if the woman you are emailing, woman po ha, babae, woman you are emailing is a miss or a Mrs., use miss. Yeah, use miss. Okay, and then we have the message. Emails are usually short and sometimes do not warrant or use introduction and conclusion, and just straight ahead go to the body of the message. But it's best for most business situation to include a short introduction and a conclusion. So, in the introduction, state the purpose of the message, and then just supply the details of that reason in the body, and the conclusion is close with an action, information, or just a statement. Keep your message brief, again, concise, brief and concise. You need, or you should use short paragraph and bullet points, maybe, to break up your text. Why maybe? If there's too much information, use bullet lines. But if you don't want to use bullet lines, or if you deem that it's not appropriate or that it's not proper or informal, then just use paragraph, but break your paragraph. When we say break your paragraph, paragraph 1, space, like a space between them, just a one line space between them, and then paragraph 2. Break your paragraph, okay? Um, what else? Use words while being thoughtful of your reader and review it before sending your email. Do not do it like how you chat, na send immediately. Like you chat or you write your message and then send it immediately. Don't do that. Always review your message. Okay? Use diplomatic tone in your email. Use more formal to address customers. So, even if you are the president of the company, if you are talking to a customer, use still diplomatic tone and you still need to be polite. Okay? Again, use proper paragraphing and use standard English. Do not use text language. Do not use, like, for example, LOL, LOML, or what else do we have? By the way, BTW, BRB. Don't use them. And or any other slang jargon. Okay, what else? And if we have attachments, again, for the attachments, use universally accepted format. If you have too many attachments, then zip them. Okay, compress them. We have a reminder from your module. Stop and think before you click send. This is what I already mentioned a while ago. Never send an email in anger, and don't send anything that you wouldn't want to be published. Also, don't pass on junk mail such as chain letters or emails promising good fortune. Do not pass emails like pass to 10 people for you to be successful or to have a good luck for the following year. Do not pass messages like that, because you might not be passing fortune but passing virus instead. Okay, so don't do that. And then we have signature. When we say signature, this is a clear and concise information about you. So put your name, your job title or position, your company address, website of the company, and telephone at the bottom of your emails. Again, signatures can be personalized according to you as the sender, and you can also include information of the company that you're working to in your signature. So we still have other examples here. Another examples that we have here is what I'm telling you, where the recipient is already how to say this? The recipient is already identified, properly identified. So again, it's the other one's from Shopee. Now this one's from Lazada. So you have here the subject line, has been delivered. So this is very specific. The user ID, of course, the name of Lazada Philippines, and the recipient. You can see here my other personal mail. Yeah. And we have here an example with attachment. The user ID, properly stated. We have here the recipient. We have at the bottom line a very simple signature. This is an example of a simple signature. And then the subject line, which is again very specific. And then we have attachment. I don't know why he didn't sift the pile, but you know, this is just 5 attachments anyway. And we have an example here of a very elaborate, I guess, signature. Again, we have user ID. This is my UP mail. Okay. And then the recipient, which is actually my classmate. The message, very specific and short. Received, thank you. And again, what I'm telling you, this is a very elaborated, I guess, signature that I'm using on my other mail, which is this. I have here my name, my position. I'm just a student, so I stated it here, my phone numbers and my email. And we have social media options at the bottom. Links. This is actually links. So this can be, maybe if you want to, you can follow this format for your email. But again, this is personal. Okay, this is my personal email, so I can use this. But if you're already working in the company, then of course, please ask or please observe the signature line of your colleagues first. There might be a format for signature in the company that you will be working to. Next, we have business letters. So, business letters, as the name suggests, so this can be sales letters, order letters, complaint letters, adjustment letters, letter of inquiry, letters of respond, letters of recommendation, acknowledgement letters, cover letter, and even letter of resignation. These are all business letters. Okay, any letters done or written for the company is considered business letters. So we have heading. The heading, like your example here, is consists of the return address or the sender's address with the date here at the bottom or the last part. That's your date line. So The heading includes the address of the company, the contact information of the company, and even the website of the company. And then a line skip here, one line skip. That's your dateline. Always include dateline. Okay, the dateline is when the letter was written. So, like for example, if you wrote that letter December 1, 2021, then the date should be December 1, 2021. But if you wrote the letter like for 5 days, write the date where when you send the letter. So for example, you started writing your letter December 1, 2021, but you actually finished the letter December 5, 2021. Then write there December 5, 2021. That's your date line. And then we have the recipient address or the inside address. This is the address of where the letter is addressed to, will be sent to. Okay, so it's always best to write to a specific individual of the organization or the company which you are writing. Do not, if you don't have the person's name, do some research by maybe calling the company or speaking with employees from the company, or even researching in the internet if they have, or if the company that they're working to actually have a website. You can check their website for that. It's very impolite to just say there, to whom it may concern. Okay, as much as possible, personalize it. Do not use to whom it may concern. To whom it may concern is your very last option. Include a person title such as Miss, Mr., Mrs., what else? Doctor, Director. Okay. And again, as a reminder, if you're not sure if the woman you're talking to is actually married or not, use Miss. MS, period. Miss. And then we have the salutation or the greeting. So it's always formal. It often begins with dear Mr. or Miss, and then the name of the person. But be sure to include the person's title if you know the title of the person. For example, dear Miss Torres, Dr. Torres, dear Dr. Torres. Okay, so always include that. And then it always ends with a colon, like you see here. And then we have again one space blank after the salutation. And then what else? What else do we have here? Yeah. If you don't know the reader's gender, use a non-sexist salutation such as their job title followed by the receiver's name. It is also acceptable to use the full name in the salutation if you cannot determine the gender. So instead of writing dear Mrs. Chris Reyes, because sometimes Chris is already considered as gender neutral name. So maybe you don't know if the Chris you're talking to is actually female or male. You can just write dear Chris Reyes instead of saying dear Mr. Chris Reyes. Okay. And then we have the body. So the body, like any other letter, is the meat of your letter. So it should be, but it should still be concise. Okay, because you're doing it informal. So for black and modified block formats, single space and left justified each paragraph within the body of the letter. Leave a blank line between each paragraph, like how you see here. The paragraphs are broken, or we have here paragraph breaks. When writing a business letter, be careful to remember that conciseness is very important. The first paragraph is considered a friendly opening. and a statement of the main point or even the purpose of the letter. The next paragraph should be justifying the importance of the main point. The next few paragraph is the continued supporting the justification with background information of the main subject. And then the closing paragraph should restate the purpose of the letter and in some cases request some type of action. And then we have the salutation again, or I think sorry, I made a mistake. This is not salutation. This should be your complimentary close. For complimentary close, this is your short and polite remark that ends your letter. Sometimes normally it's sincerely yours or truly yours. These are complimentary close. So it begins at the same justification as your date line and one line after the last body of the paragraph. Capitalize the first word of your closing, such as thank you, thank you. For thank you, the T is capitalized, the U is not capitalized, okay? And leave 4 lines for signature between the close and the sender's name. A comma should follow the closing as seen here. And what else? Yeah, that's it. A comma should follow it. And then the next line will already be the signature line. So when you say signature line, 1, 2, 3, 4, 4 lines is kept. 4 lines there. We have the signature line. So this is where your name is written plus your middle name and then your title or your position. Okay. And what else do we have here? Yeah, your sign, your signature, your actual signature should be here. So you need to sign this. And the last line is your enclosure. For the enclosure, this is to indicate that something is attached with the letter and it's not just the letter in the envelope. If there are so many enclosures or if it's an email, like we call it attachment, for it's an actual letter, we call it enclosure. If there are many enclosure, then you need to state there the names of those documents. Okay. Here in the example, we have Ira's Taipei milk tea gift certificate. So it's attached there. But for example, if you have many enclosure, why do I keep using attachment? Enclosure, if you have many enclosure, then you say maybe enclosures certificate of attendance, list of attendees or things like that. The important thing is you need to include the name of the documents, all the name of the enclosed documents. So for an effective letter, again, we have the IBC or the introduction, body, and conclusion. To discuss that further, we have here the introduction tells the reader why you are writing, so what you are writing about. The body is the itemized why you exactly want the reader to do so. So what do you plan to do? What do you want them to do? So the reader, and for the conclusion, you tell the reader what's next. So you include here your plan of the follow-up action and why that date or that time is important. Followed by, we have here some templates for your IBC. If it's a cover letter for your introduction, why you are writing, so this may be and respond to a job advertisement or maybe a posting that you have seen. So maybe it's about what you're writing about, maybe the name of the specific job or the opening. For the body, you need to answer the question, what exactly do you want to say? So you need to state the reason why you are qualified for the job. And then for the conclusion, what is next, what they can expect from you. So when you can meet with the personal opening, to, when you can meet with the personnel officer to discuss the job opening. For sales letter, again, for your introduction, you need to answer the question why you're writing. So it can be to solve the reader's problem or to fulfill the reader's need, or to maybe advertise the product or the service that you are selling. For the body, the question here is, what exactly do you want to say? So here you need to state the reason why the product you are offering or the product for the company will benefit the readers. And then for the conclusion, for the question, what's next? So when the reader should purchase the product or the service and why that date is important. Maybe because of a discount or warranty, or if it's like the product will only be available for that time, kind of thing. And then we have letter for inquiry. So for introduction, you want to answer why you are writing, maybe to ask reader a question, or maybe what you are writing about, maybe a specific topic of your inquiry. In the body, you need to answer you need to list your specific questions, inquiry. And for the conclusion, when do you want the answer and why that date is important. And then we have memoranda or memo. So when we say memoranda or memo, these are internal correspondence written by an employee or employees in a company to the employees or for the employees of the same company. Here you can see a sample memo from your module. Okay, so we have 4 identification lines. Very unique. If you saw this in a letter, then it's a memo. Okay, we have the date, we have the to, we have the from, and we have the subject. So those are the 4 identification lines of the memo. Of course, to means to whom the letter is addressed to, from, to whom the memo came from, date, when the memo is written or released, and the subject, what is the memo all about. So that's all for this. We still have one lesson for Module 5, and I think we can talk about it next time. But please read ahead. Review now. Your finals are actually coming. So thank you for listening. This is our discussion for Module 5, Lesson 1. We are now done with Lesson 1 finally. And I hope to see you next time on the next video. Thank you.